Welcome back to Good Morning San Diego. If you are wondering whether or not to buy or sell in San Diego's current real estate climate, listen up, because joining us to discuss what is currently happening with local real estate is the owner of Jim Bottrell Real Estate Team, Jim Bottrell himself. Good morning, Jim. Nice to have you on.
Good morning. Thanks to actually be talking to you. It's great.
Well, this certainly caught my attention. You're saying it is not a seller's market, it is not a buyer's market, it's both.
That's absolutely right. So I've been selling real estate locally for about 16 years now, and this is the first time I've ever actually seen a situation like this. It's usually a seller's market or it's a buyer's market, but this time it's both. Most people think it's a seller's market right now because there are multiple offers on virtually all good houses. All houses are priced right, and the sellers are getting their price. But it's also a buyer's market because the interest rates are so low. So while the seller is getting the price that they want, the buyer is also getting the payment that they want. Even if they end up paying a little bit more for the house, the payment's lower just because the interest rate's so low. So that's where, in the first time in 16 years, and first time anybody I've ever spoken to can actually say that it is, in fact, both a buyer's and a seller's market. So it's a really special time right now.
It really is. And I feel like this is something that a lot of people are talking about. I mean, in the last couple of weeks, Jim, just among my friends and neighbors, it just seems real estate comes up. And it's like, if one is not asking or talking about selling, the other is maybe thinking about buying or, buying something else. So indeed, it is a special time. I thank you for pointing that out. I want to ask you about the cost of homes right now, because it seems like houses continue to go up. Are we in some sort of bubble? And if we are, do you think there's going to be a crash?
Well, actually, that is a fantastic question. I get that one all the time. No, I actually don't think we're in a bubble. This is a demand-driven rate of appreciation. We're going up in value quite a bit because there's a lot of people trying to buy. Here's the difference today versus what happened in 2006, 7, 8, and 9. Today, everybody has to qualify to buy a home. So they may be paying more for it at a lower interest rate, but they actually have to qualify. So they've proven to the bank that they can actually make the payments. If you go back to 2007, 8, 9, yes, it was demand created appreciation, but the lenders didn't have any criteria. So they had things like called the ninja loan, which stands for no income, no job, no assets, meaning they're not putting any money down. They don't have a job. They don't have any sources of income, but the bank's still giving them $700 grand. And in mid 2007, the banks had a 32% first payment default rate, meaning 1 in 3 people didn't make their very first payment because they were never qualified to do it. And that's why there were so many people buying homes. I mean, I had a gunnery sergeant. I was a Marine for a long time. I had a gunnery sergeant that worked for me. And, he's in E7 making about $55,000 a year. And he was in the middle of this. And in 24 months, he bought 18 homes. And he put no money down on any of it. It was because the lenders were just giving the money away. Well, unfortunately for him, he lost all 18 of them. But that's what happened back then, and that's what caused the crash. Today, every single person has to qualify that they can prove that they make the payments. And we're not having a default rate other than what's going on with Governor Newsom's stay, which will be interesting to see how that plays out.
That is true. Yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be a little bit interesting. But you do see a lot of landlords that are having tenants not paying right now, and I have a feeling they're going to be sick. So we're going to see some inventory loosen up once that stay is released. But as far as a crash goes, there's no crash because people are making their payments, and that's the fundamental difference between today and what happened 13 years ago.
I also want to ask you about, I hear many real estate experts talk about creating generational wealth through real estate. What does that mean exactly, and why is that important?
Well, that's a term that I teach classes on this and how to create generational wealth. So what I've done for myself, and I now teach other people, when I was a young Marine, I bought my first house, and then I made it a rental property. I bought another house to move into, left the one behind me as a rental property. And I've done that over and over and over. And so what's going to happen here in another 10 years, the first house gets paid off. And so, I'm 50 years old now. So, and I have kids, and at some point in time, these houses are going to get paid off. So when I retire, I'm going to be having that rental income. That's going to pay for my golden years, because being 50 years old, I honestly don't believe Social Security is going to be around for me, at least in not any way that I can live on. So I have to create some other passive means of income. And for me, it's real estate. I'm so passionate about real estate. I just absolutely love it. But, these properties go up in value, and every year the rents increase, because that's just what happens. The payment stays the same because they're all 30-year fixed. And so another 10 years, the first one gets paid off. Then a couple years after, the next one gets paid off. The next one gets paid off. So that when it comes time for me to retire, I have all this passive revenue coming in. Now I'll talk about the generational wealth. Someday I'm going to leave this earth, and I have 3 daughters. They're going to inherit all of these properties. And they're going to be these, and I have to teach them several things. I have to teach them about trusts. I have to teach them about keeping your assets. I have to teach them about prenuptial agreements. I don't care that you love him, in short, sweetie. But I have to teach them about all that stuff. And they're going to inherit these properties that are all paid off, that do nothing but spit off cash flow every single month. So this generational wealth, this is what's going to pay for my retirement. And then someday when I leave this earth, it's going to give my daughters advantages that I never had. And to me, that's the most special thing. The most special gift that I could ever give my daughters is advantages in life that I never had. And I think that's what we all want for our kids, right?
Sure, that's great. These are great points. Great advice, Jim. I'd love to continue chatting with you. I mean, I think we can chat for another hour. There's so many other questions I have for you, but I'd love to talk to you again in the near future. Perhaps maybe we should talk about renting versus owing.
Oh, yeah,
the differences. That's a good one. And also how to choose a real estate agent. I would love a segment on that. Yeah, that would be great. But in the meantime, Jim, thank you so much for your expertise and shedding some light on what's currently happening with our local real estate market. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. I want to say hi to my girls. Hi, Haley. Hi, Ashley. Hi, Jillian.
All right. Good morning, girls. All right. Thank you, Jim. We'll talk soon.